Station. Kommandant am Seerohr. Die Mündungsklappen der Torpedorohre werden geöffnet. Da ist der Feind.
Alright, that sounds good.
It's all good.
Let me know when I'm cleared to go.
He's clear to go, right? Yeah, you're good. They have the tagline. What about the tagline? They've got that part, but what? Scott?
Yeah.
They've got the tagline and they want him to tie it to the leader, right? That's it?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm in neutral, so whenever Matt wants to go, he's all set.
originally, that toy with the big stem on it, that was on your port bow.
I don't think so. We all remember it being on starboard. I remember diving that day on everything on starboard. I think it's just hooked on the wreck. Hey, you guys, let's leave it like it is for a few minutes. It seems like we're riding okay right now. Just think of plan B5.
What's that?
Well, I don't know. It came up pretty fast. I mean, actually, the direction you gotta go back, right side to the whole way. Probably would be pretty dangerous to go in.
Oh, here comes the big one.
Sorry, I almost totally
Never mind
took.
that.
I'm sorry. I could have taken out your children, your possible children, and like. Woo!
Yes. I did it.
Remember, Matt, it's like Louisiana. It's like riding the ball. It's gonna stay on it.
Yeah. You know what I think would be awesome? You get to the peak of one of those, or right before the peak, and you jump. I wonder how high off the deck you'd get, like when this thing goes down. Probably fucking break your legs by the time you come
Yeah, that
down.
moves back to where it's supposed to be, or is that red water? That's the port at 1 o'clock.
Assuming you land back on the boat.
You should see this from back here. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, just be careful, okay?
I am. That's even more interesting.
Oh, it's the perfect place for a plumber to get a tattoo.
Yeah, but a smiley face.
What's it gonna have? Like a middle finger? He's not gonna get any customers that way.
I want to do Mario and Luigi.
On either butt cheek?
Ron, how bad the
Oh,
look?
yeah.
He's talking to you.
Oh,
Did he say Sean?
Oh, I thought I said Scott. I was wrong.
Wait.
I lost the boat. Where is it?
meeting out there?
Don, does it look like we're riding all right?
Scott.
Sure.
Yeah, it looks
Scott.
pretty good actually.
Then we'll let Julia get some pictures of it coming right out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side to side.
Just come over and wrapped up.
Yeah, we'll be right over. We're gonna raft up.
Yeah, you guys are late for the meeting. You gotta be docked.
Docked. Docked in where? Portland?
Yeah, docked.
Oh my god, can you imagine if we were dropped up the
Whoa, look at over here. There's a big one coming in right on your port. 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
Come on, you know me by now.
You got careful. I see you hanging over there.
I can't see them though. I'm gonna have to go outside.
Just wipe the window off a little bit. With a paper.
What's wrong with my arm?
Maybe. Oh, and then.
I can't see anything in here.
Oh, this is great.
I think I can handle.
This is Boston.
He's sleeping.
This is his first time out to sea. Yeah.
He wasn't doing so well last night.
Yeah, he's sleeping.
No, he wasn't doing so good last night or this morning. Dude, wow.
You know, it's funny because if any one of them were over here, they'd be crying or crying and puking down. Only a certain crew that can run this shit.
Hold on, you guys. If you're hanging off, there's a couple big ones coming in right now.
They're experiencing it on
That's David.
a small average day of someone. Now they're all freaked out. I bet you Cindy's like
You guys got a plan yet?
you know.
It's development right now. Like the city's gonna swing us off. But, I'm not pretty people out there.
I told you guys I love Earth weather.
Alright, because up here doesn't seem like she's changing at all.
They're actually pretty good.
The buoys are totally disappeared. They're all submerged. Whoa!
Hold on,
Wow.
you guys. There's a big one right here. Hold on.
Well, they're strapped down, so they're not like able to. They can't bend. So if something big comes, woo!
It seems like we're going a little more, well, they want to go a little more south now rather than northeast. Where they're coming out of.
Matt, you remember what the 12-footers were like in that boat?
Some of these, come on, Gary, you're not even close to the feet.
Scott, you know, when the tide comes in, which way does it go?
Woo!
Well, I think it's
Hey,
in the morning.
Sorry,
you can open up.
I'm still your
We
seat.
were on the.
I see a buoy!
And then we started to move at the tide.
Just one.
So it's probably
Yeah.
gonna do a similar thing now.
All right, today's July 28th. 29th, sorry. Days go by really fast here. But anyways, we're gonna walk you through a mission of how we're doing these ROV ops out here on the site. Port Nicholson is below us right now. And we're gonna go through a mission so that everybody watching this can understand what we're doing out here. And Kevin, basically, why don't you tell Gary or tell the people back at home how we set up for these missions.
Well, once we figure out a strategy of what we want to do on the ship for the mission starts right here in this room in front of this chart. To get a view of this, this is the position of the Port Nicholson, and it doesn't look like a ship, but every one of these dots is a high point. This line right here is actually the keel of the Port Nicholson from the bow to the stern, it's the stern of the bow. So where we are operating right now is, of course, about midship, where the ship is located right now. What I'll ask Gary is, depending on the mission, is he'll go, where do you want to be, Kev? And I'll tell him, this is my favorite spot right here. Have the ship positioned on the keel side of the ship, so the ROV only has to go 50, 60 feet to get to the keel, and then we can hop up on top of the ship and then go to any point on the superstructure side. Superstructure side is very, very high dense debris, very dangerous for the ROV, so we like to be on the keel side. Now once I give Gary a position that I want to be in, then he takes over what he needs to do up here, which is getting the position of the ship. If you film out to the buoy off the stern out, we have a large anchor out there, over 10,000 pounds, that holds the stern in place. We've got a cable going all the way to it. Then to get the position, Gary's tied to that, and then he's going to get our bow anchor in position where we're going to stay put. And I'll let Gary explain a little bit about what that takes, because I don't really know what happens, because once I give him that position, I go get the ROV ready, and then he starts making things happen up here.
So basically what we do is we, like Kevin said, we hook up to our stern anchor here, and then we basically motor over the wreck. Now this circle right here is just the high spots that we got off of a depth finder. I know it doesn't look like a shipwreck, but that's just the high spots. There's debris all over that place. So what we basically do, if I pan up here on the computer, is this is our anchor right here, and attached to our buoy. So, yep, right here. This is our anchor. We have 1,000 feet of cable, 1-inch steel cable on that anchor to a 1,000-pound propane tank that we use as a buoy. What we basically do is hook up to that on a stern winch, and I motor straight down as best I could. Sometimes the wind of the current prevents us, and sometimes they have to go around. That's what all these little lines are here. We basically, as Kevin said, this is the sweet spot where he likes to be right here.
But on this side, this is our ship now.
Yes. So basically what we do is
All right, Mark 5, I think we've shown this to you before. During pre-flight, what we're going to be going through is we're going to make sure every single electrical connection is on, check the motor mounts, make sure they're still stable, checking your lights. This is the camera itself, and of course we've got our new manipulator arm, which actually gets us out of a lot of trouble, and it has the ability to pick objects up. This is what we call our step arm. This is a fixed claw. This has the ability to do one manipulation, open and close. That's it. This one has 5 manipulations. But we keep this on here as a secondary, so that if we lose power to this one, we still have the ability to untangle ourselves or pick an object up with this guy. These are brand new lights that we just installed. They're LED lights. They're kind of expensive. What they do is they whitewash everything, and they have the ability to actually clear up some of the snowflaking effect that we have down with the biological particles floating around the ocean. And of course we have halogen up here that really like to show up. As far as the pre-flight goes, it's just checking to make sure that we don't have anything sticking outside the frame to entangle, being sure that every possible thing that can go wrong has been taken care of. And if you bring it in, I just want to show you some of the scarring that we have on the ROV. If you look all along these bumpers, you can see a lot of rust marks. These are all scar marks, and even cuts into this heavy plastic of bumping into Port Nicholson, bumping into debris down there, cables from fish nets, you name it, we've seen it. It's just a heavy debris field. I mean, just like you expect a shipwreck to be. Even the camera and the lights have taken hits, but that's what we got to do. Some of the spots that we go into, you have to kitty corner the ROV and kind of find your way in to get to that spot. Our field of vision out of this camera is only 20 degrees, so I know Greg has described it to you before. It's like looking through a paper tube and walking around your house. But where it's a shipwreck, it's like walking into a house that's been wrecked by an earthquake and trying to find your way into the living room through a paper tube. So this thing does take a lot of hits, but that's what it's designed to do, and it's been very functional. And what I like to do is show the manipulator a little bit. Brian, you're in there, you got that powered up? Power, yeah, go ahead and move the manipulator around, show them the functionality of that. Brian's on the controls of the manipulator right now, and he'll fire this up for us. It has point and arc to the width of the ROV. It has a large claw here that has the capability of cutting through cable. There's quite a bit of force there. And it also has the ability to roll down. You can see it can actually reach objects down below. And it can reach all the way over here. We added a modification to the ROV. If you look right in here, you can see like a basket or a glove compartment. We built that in there so that if the ROV does have an object, it can actually tuck its arm back into a protected position with an object in there and block it in. We've used that a few times to explore, bring up a couple of artifacts already. You can see, this is where we'll have it out to pick up an object. This is what we call a protected position. Help it keep it out of the way. These are the hydraulic, it's run by hydraulics, and these are the lines to it. And we've actually, this is a weak point of this design because I can break these, cut these, or whatever. We've even had fish bite them. Not sure why, but they do. Anyways, Alex, why don't I bring you in the ROV room and we'll show you some of the footage that we got in the past couple of days. Now, in the ROV room, we have 3 stations. This is the pilot's. This is where I run the ROV off of this control box, which I think we showed you before. Everything will happen on this screen right here. This is live footage, it's recorded footage. Over here is our sonar station. This is where Alex will sit. It's a meticulous job, and Alex is very detailed at it because what he's looking for is 90% of his focus is on this sonar station because 99% of mine is on this screen. So he'll give me good headings and walk me to targets as we're maneuvering through the flight. But what I wanted to show you today is some of the footage that we came across on the last couple of flights, the reason we're out here. And I just want to show you some of the hazards that we run into. This particular footage right here, you got the TV, I don't know which is better for you, Alex, is the focus on this one here. The ship, right now, the ROV, the ship lays on its side. The ROV has come into this area off the forecastle, has descended all the way down the side of the ship, and has maneuvered to the cargo bay of entrance. And once we found an avenue to get to here, which is a show in itself, this is the entrance to the cargo bay. This is a raised lid off the main deck. This dark area here is actually inside of the ship. This particular point in the mission, I can show you a little bit of the ROV making an entrance to the cargo bay so you can see what that's like. But right here is the edge of it. Go through that lip, it drops down to the side of the ship, and inside is the cargo bay. And they'll just let that play out for a little bit. Visibility this particular day, you can see the particles, pretty good. What's nice about being down this low on the ship is we're kind of hidden from the tide. And you can see the ROV about to make its move into the cargo bay. I'll fast forward a little bit. And here's the inside of the ship. We've just backed into it, and now we're looking inside. I've got in the wrong spot here. Alright, let me freeze it right there. Yeah, we got 11:01. Let me bring it up to 11:01 where we're in the cargo bay a little bit farther. Here, the footage was when this is actually coming into the cargo bay. That's where it drops down. We get some structure of the cargo bay here. The bottom of the cargo bay is the side of the ship, is about 6 or 7 feet there. As you can see the transverse beams of the side of the hull. This looks like probably wood decking that used to be there that's deteriorated. And we're at a depth of about 649 feet here. What we're doing here is taking a look at the entry point so that if when we come back, we'll know what to look for to gain exit. And as you can see, we're descending down into the cargo bay a little bit. You can see the sidewall is covered in a little bit of sand, but it's not deep, it's just a small bit of sediment. And you can see some of the wreckage that we're starting to spot inside the cargo bay. This is just inside the entrance right here. What we need to do is go deeper into the ship, which I'll show you in a moment. You see some of the dusting effects that occur. I'm going to bump us forward to 11:43, about 40 minutes after that particular footage as we were exploring the bay. Here's our entry into cargo bay on the second run. Fast forward. And we're making entrance to this object right here. Okay, what this object is we've moved into the ship about 16 feet. This is the second deck cargo bay. This is what they call the tween deck. This is to further enter into the ship. And we're slowly mapping out how to get deeper and deeper into the hull. This particular cargo bay entrance, very similar to the other one, raised deck portion. The deck is missing because I believe it's made of wood, and you can see some of the wreckage beyond it. What you're seeing right here, from an ROV point of view, the Mark V designed by Deep Ocean, this has never been done. Entry into a ship. And here we are, we're already gaining access to 16, 17 feet. What it's also doing is the sonar is picking up what's deeper so that we can keep continuing going. But as we're talking in the pilot house, when I'm doing this, what happens is I'll get word from the wheelhouse, hey Kev, the ship is on the move. They're dragging anchor a little bit. So then we've got to evacuate the area, and this is what will pull us out of a position like this where we've already been in here for 45 minutes and we have to get out. So what I want to show you is not the exit or trying to get out, but what happens to the cord while we're in here. It's outside, it goes up the superstructure side of the ship, around all them entanglements, and then back to the Sea Hunter. So what I'll bring you up as we were getting out of the area and show you what we find when we're trying to get back home while the ship is on the move. The ROV's exited the ship, and we've come up. This is the side of the ship, and you can see that we get a little bit of a tangle here. This is up on the forecastle. The steel cable running down. Our umbilical cord has somehow worked its way behind the cable, and then up top it pinches off, which you'll see in a few seconds. We have another entanglement here on a rail, and any one of these entanglements can pin this ROV down on the bottom, and it'll be there forever. So as we exit the ship, we can allow ourselves time to be able to make these entanglements. It can take us as long as an hour to get some of these undone. I can really see the problem here. This cable runs up along the side of the ship. Of course, it weighs quite a bit. Our cable has worked itself behind it and has pinched quite tightly into this position. This is a huge problem. Because right now, if the anchor breaks free, the ROV is not going to be able to get out of this situation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward it, Alex, up to where we actually make a move to untangle it. The ROV's working the problem. And that was that. Brian moving the manipulator out around the cord, so we're actually grabbing the cord and hugging it, and then we'll pull it down out from the pinch point. Then the ROV will swim out around the cable, and we'll get out of there. After we clear this particular one, we follow the cord, and we'll come right to another entanglement. Once you follow the cord down, and lo and behold, we're still tangled on a handrail. We cleared out. This particular flight we had, before we could descend to the surface, we untangled the cord 9 times. And like I said, any one of those can pin this down. So the choice of the avenue to get to these cargo bays is critical, so that we don't get entangled. We know we are, but we want to try to limit it and give it the best success chance it can have. And at the same time, Gary's up in the wheelhouse trying to make sure that we don't pull it and make this kind of situation worse. This limits my time in the cargo bay. The window of opportunity is so short sometimes to make sure none of this is going to happen. Because I can get in the cargo bays and do what I need to do, but if these kinds of things are being ignored, we won't be able to get anything up from the bottom of the ROV. I'll give you another example of an avenue to this ship. You'll love this one. You bring us up to 6:49. This is later in the day on the second flight. One more example of what we're dealing with down there. In this particular footage, the cord is hung up yet again. And where it's hung up, right above here, the ship is laying on her side, the bow rakes up. The cord, due to the currents, we've gone around the bit, around the ship, around the bow. The current dragged the cord underneath the ship. This particular flight, it happened very early in the flight on the way to cargo bay, and for the next 3 hours, we had to untangle it, which was an abort for the whole mission. Because something very simple like the tie, grab the cord. To show you a little bit of what the ROV has to go through sometimes, and this is pretty good footage of the obstacle course that we have to go through to get to the cargo bays. This is, like I said, this is the ceiling look here is actually, we're flying under the ship. Just below us is the ocean bottom. A couple of feet away, off to our right, which is not on video, is a large fishing net that's draping over the hull, and we're actually going through an area that's 5 or 6 feet wide to get this cord clear. Fast forward a little bit as we follow it to the problem. Here we are coming around the other side of the ship, so we've gone 75 feet under the ship, and this will show you a really good clear what obstacle course that the ROV has to travel through to get to the footage I just showed you in the cargo bay. Just so you know, my heart rate was about 140 here. I think Brian's was around 160. Because the ROV has cleared this, but the rest of the cord that's behind us still has to come out and around all of this gear. Alright, that pretty much shows you that. We'll show you what the avenue of approach, which is 10:30. Okay, we're up on the superstructure here. What I want to show you on this particular thing on a mission is we're on top of the ship and we're going to make a descent down to the cargo area. You actually see some recognizable features of the ship. This is the superstructure, this is the side of the ship. Right in here is the main deck. This is actually a hallway that we've been in. We get a bollard right there, and the ROV is going down what we've nicknamed the elevator shaft because it's a pretty tight area, but we've become so familiar with it that it's an actual easy avenue approach to one of these cargo bays. And as you can see, we're making the descent now. We're about 20 feet below the rail right here. This is a railing system from the next deck up. You can see a porthole coming into view, which was actually, look at it, these portholes right that are going down right here. The RV's on this portion of the ship and descending. This is a boom stand from one of the cranes that is no longer there, is laying on the bottom, along with all of its cables, which creates those jungle gyms. I'll let that continue now through. And this is pretty smooth descent. The first time we made this descent, it was very difficult because you don't know what's coming up. We can't see below us that well to know what's coming up. We're bumping into things all the way down. Fast forward a little bit, it gets to the bottom. There's another second boom stand on the starboard side. And here's the ocean floor. One thing we discovered here, it's supposed to be a hallway right here. It's not. That means the ship is buried in the mud about 6 feet on that starboard side, which we expected. What this creates is a lot of sand around the cargo bay area. Which I want to fast forward. A nice porthole window. We were trying to look inside to see what we were doing here before we made our entry. Fast forward, you can see some of the other debris that's around, cables hanging down. So everything that's on the ship that's loose is down here. You can see a lot of vertical stuff standing straight up in the debris field out in that area. And I'm going to take that off right there. We're going to jump it up a couple of minutes. What's going on here is we had to abort this particular entry point because this happens to us quite a bit. The sand, the silt, will get so thick that we can't operate anymore. So we'll have to evacuate this area, move to a different area, and try something else until this calms down in 30-40 minutes. As you can see, the silt, we really haven't done anything other than we've always done with the nuclear in this scenario. But the current, the way it was hitting us at that point, you can see the visibility has already dropped around 50%. That main deck is less than 2 feet away and it's becoming more and more difficult to see. Going into the cargo bay in a situation like this would be kind of crazy because we would lose all visibility. Fast forward, we're just trying to see what's going on. And as the visibility just keeps deteriorating. We try to wash it out with a white light right there, and as you can see, we lose all visibility. Completely gone. There's metal within a foot of me. You just saw the descent. I have to get back out of here, keep the RV intact with this visibility. And as I tell Brian all the time, do it from memory. One last thing I want to show you guys is some of the objects that we come across. Oh, let's see, 1106. This is a pretty cool object. As you know, we were looking for ingots, and this one kind of showed up pretty good. I'll give you guys a sneak peek at it. The reason we're doing a ground search here, and then we've come across a high density object on the luminosity was great on the sonar, so we came over here to take a look. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you guys watch it, and you can think what you think. These are some of the things that we investigate over and over and over. But this one was unique. You can see the object coming into view here. This is the first we've seen of it. And I have to admit the excitement level was getting kind of high right here. Forward a little bit, a little closer, the arm deploys. Again, Brian, setting it up so that he gets in position so that when the RV gets there, it'll be all set. There's a nice close view of it there. And we make connection. Well, let me show you what that object ends up being. Which I think we still have that right out here. You stay right here, Al. That object turned out to be this. What this is, unlike what we see in the video, which I'm sure you just had the same thought that we did when we approached it, this is a boiler brick from the boiler. However, we did bring it up to the surface because we wanted to go through a test of the claw to make sure that it could handle an object of this size, that it weighs over 10 pounds, and we had no problems. The ROV was more than capable of doing this, which really gives us a lot of reinforcement of bringing something up that's twice as heavy as this. But unfortunately, we were very excited the same way you probably were a moment ago when you saw it, but it did turn out to be a brick. Well, we investigated these targets over and over and over. But anyway, I just want to describe what we go through on a mission. Showed you some of the hazards we got today and what we go through on a daily basis. Yesterday's missions, we started at around 7 in the morning. We didn't finish till after midnight. We'll get 4 or 5 hours of sleep and we'll go right back at it again the next morning. The highlights can only last 10 minutes, but there's a lot of hours going on and there's a lot of operation going on throughout the ship to protect that Mark V that's out there, including the team that operates in this room. Brian, did you want to add anything to what you do in here?
It's similar to a lunar mission. I mean, I'm kind of like a flight engineer, and I have full control of the ROV over here if something happens. But I'm constantly watching a panel over here for alarms, water leaks, monitoring voltage all the time, making sure that nobody turns on anything on the ship that's going to put the ROV in peril. Voltage is extremely critical. Low voltage increases amperage, and then we have starting to have failures. So, it's a constant thing looking at diagnostics, and and then all three of us in here are watching the monitors, and we all see something different. The same picture, we'll all pick something different out. So, 6 eyes watching the same thing. Basically, it's kind of a
Complex.
Yeah,
It's a complex mission.
It's a lunar mission. It's the same as a lunar mission.
And that's pretty much a wrap up on what we go through in a mission. I'm not sure if Greg wants to give you any concluding thoughts on it, but he did ask me to show you guys what we go through. We've showed you about 10% of what really happens, and because, like you said, it's very complex what's going on, and I hope that gives you guys some insight of what happens in this room. Very difficult stuff we're doing here, but we're doing it, and we're going to make it happen for you. It's just a matter of time, and a matter of getting that paper tube of a camera over the right square foot on the bottom. And we're looking in the right places, and we've gained access 35 feet inside the ship. Never been done before with a Mark V, an ROV of this size. The team that we have here, the equipment that we have here, it will happen. It's just the right spot at the right moment.
Oh yeah.
Our windows are limited, and that's why it does take time. But we'll make it happen. All right. Bye-bye. I'll see if Greg wants to say anything.